How and why I almost flunked PE. Pay attention to your subtle weaknesses as they can bring you down. In reclaiming your life so you live your life of purpose, sometimes even with the greatest passion and diligence, we fail. We might wonder, why can't I make it through this quote unquote simple task? You might need an outsider, a spectator, or coach with experience to tell you why. When I was in college, I was doing well, but little did I know my honor status would be threatened and affected by a physical education class, a PE class. I will use this experience to show us that our weaknesses, if not identified and conquered, can bring us down now or later in life. Most of the time, these weaknesses are very, very subtle, yet they are so potent. They could break marriages, cause debilitating illnesses, cause wars, job losses, or inability to get a job, just to name a few. The PE class I took was volleyball. I had never played sports, and my greatest sports life was running around the playground in elementary school, playing what we call rounders, a kind of shadow baseball. The PE class challenged me in a very strange way. Of the two key volleyball positions, the one where you bring your two hands together and propel the ball over the net with your wrist proved very challenging. This is called the forearm pass or the bump. No matter how hard I tried, the ball would not go over the net, or barely did, and most of the time, my teammate had to swoop in and help. We were playing 2 against 2. It was so embarrassing. I prayed, but there was no change. I focused on praying for my teammate that her GPA should not drop because of me. She was such a gentle, strong young woman. She was quite taller than myself, just perfect for this sport. Yet I was bringing us both down. No matter the people you surround yourself with, there are certain weaknesses you might have to that might bring the whole house, the team, or corporation down. I barely passed the PE class. I graduated with honors, but not the top honors I had always maintained. This issue always baffled me, as I could not understand why my forearm passes had no force. Hence, the ball could not get over the net. Revelations. What I discovered years later. Let's fast forward a few years later. On a whim, after reading an ad in the Washington City paper, I joined a local area women's soccer league. I learned so many lessons in the 10 years I played with the women's soccer league and also with the co-ed international soccer league. As I played soccer, football as it is called in other countries outside of America, I discovered that periodically my knees and ankles hurt and that my kicks did not have much force. That is when I remembered that when I was in elementary school, the naughty kids used to come behind me and push my knees as they hyperextended backwards. This would cause me to fall. To thwart their game of pushing my knees with their knees from behind me, I decided to consciously use my mind to stand with my knees and legs straight and deter the kids from pushing my hyperextended knees, and it worked. Genius. Over the years, my knees strengthened, but soccer tested them. So what could I do because I really wanted to play soccer so bad? I started using my knee braces. It did not look cute and sexy, but I cared not what others thought of me because I could now play ball without having to sit on the bench because my knees were hurting. Years later, the very girls who had been giggling at me for wearing knee braces started doing the same as their years had advanced and nature took its course. But because I had been wearing braces confidently and playing some real ndamba, also known as fantastic soccer, I had given them permission to do the same and still feel confident and be cute. If you notice so far, this story might look like it's about me. No, it's about you reclaiming your joy, purpose, your mojo, and also teaching your kids and others. See the subtle lessons in this story. So now, why did I almost flunk PE? Simple physics. Yes, when I played soccer and remembered my childhood knees hyperextension nature, I checked my elbows and lo and behold, they were also hyperextended. In volleyball, there is a lot of physics. Sir Isaac Newton's laws of motion is at play all the time. My forearm ball did not have enough speed to go over the volleyball net because there was no force impacted on them. Why was there no force? This is a key lesson today. When my hands were laced together to hit the ball and propel it over the net, as my elbows naturally hyperextended, as they did so, my wrist, where my hands were laced together, reflexly dropped slightly downwards, thus reducing the force of impact with the ball, not giving it enough power to propel forward. This does consequently reduce the ball's acceleration. Many people's elbows do not hyperextend, so they will not experience this challenge. In playing soccer, I had compensated this hyperextension by stabilizing my knees with braces, giving my kicks the much needed force to impact acceleration. You see, force equals mass times acceleration. That's F equals ma. Thus, acceleration equals force over mass. And because there was very little force due to my forearms hyperextending and causing my laced hands to drop, this massively reduced the impact with the ball, whose mass was always constant. Thus, the ball's acceleration or velocity was reduced to a crawl. Who knew? My national dean's list standing was affected because my elbows hyperextended, and no one deciphered that until I had this revelation years later. My hands, arms, elbow, upper arms formed a perfect lever system like yours does also. Each part had a function to play that affected many different aspects of my life. A breakdown or weakness in one area of your life has ramifications even onto the future. Lever systems are in so many areas of our anatomy, our lives, our families, our businesses, public and world. One little pull in the South Pole could affect North, East, and West negatively or positively. Where or what is your hyper joint extension or weakness? Or are you the joint hyperextension? That is the weakness. As you try to live a life of joyful results, if your success is not where it should be, stand back and do a review. Where are the weak points? Or is it a weakness of yours that is a weak point in a relationship, a project, a team, ministry, mission? Once you find these weaknesses, brace them up, so to speak. It is better to win tournaments with braces than not even to play at all. Many destinies depend on you and your success. Brace up. Can you turn these weak points to strengths and sometimes use them just as they are for success? Let's look at some quick examples of how weaknesses devastated destinies and lives. For example, Austin ended up in divorce. Why? Because he had a weakness of a hard and harsh voice. Aha. His wife complained that the way he called her name startled her, causing her heart to beat faster out of fear, for his voice and intonation was harsh and urgent, as if something had gone wrong. It made her pressure rise up sometimes. She complained, but he did not change. This added to the bucket of ills, and one day the rope just broke as the bucket was full and she divorced him. Sob, sob, sob. Pride and ego kept Jonathan from getting and keeping jobs. His weakness or hyperextension was his pride. He even felt joy being proud. His common mantras were, "My pride was insulted. Do you know who I am?" etc. Proverbs 11:2 says, "When pride comes, then comes disgrace. But with humility comes wisdom." Proverbs 16 verse 18 says, "Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall." He lost many career opportunities because of his pride. These vices don't sound like big deals in the natural, but in the spirit they are big violations that never work for you in the court of heaven, no matter how hard grace abounds. Can you think of other examples? If you experience stress in areas of your life, it is good to request a performance review from those around you or get a coach. Hang in tight and listen, as it can be painful to hear where you need molding. Because we don't hardly observe ourselves or know how we behave. We need someone else to hold the mirror for us to show us ourselves. Else we could be given the best opportunity in the world and we would tear it down. So to summarize, my elbows hyperextending when I played volleyball did not give the lever system of my arm, elbow, and wrist the force needed to propel the ball over the net. So I received a low grade in that class. Years later, while playing soccer, I got this revelation and decided to use knee and ankle braces to support my knees and ankles that were also hyperextended. This gave them the needed stability to be a stable fulcrum for the lever system. So the force of my kicks was powerful enough to cause the ball to accelerate further. I then applied this revelation to other areas of my life and of those I coach. If you experience a challenge or weakness, take time to observe and think about the subtle areas not so evident. If you find a weakness, which could just be a natural way, find a way to change it. Turn it to a strength that could benefit you, the family, and the corporation. In short, brace up. So this is a tip today for you to reclaim your life. Please subscribe, like, share, and click the notification button to get an alert when I have new material. With joy, love, and gratitude, this is Esther. Shalom.